Lamar Jackson is one of the most polarizing figures in the NFL today. Some fans see him as a groundbreaking talent, a player who has redefined what it means to be a quarterback. Others, however, are not convinced. They point to his shortcomings, particularly in the playoffs, and wonder if he's really as good as his accolades suggest. In today's video, we're going to delve into the heart of this debate. Is Lamar Jackson truly one of the greats? Or has he been overrated by a league eager to embrace a new kind of quarterback? We'll explore his career from the beginning, dissect his performances, and try to separate the hype from reality. Lamar's journey starts in Pompano Beach, Florida, a place where he had to grind from the get-go. Football became his way out, and he latched onto it like his life depended on it, because in a lot of ways, it did. He showed incredible talent early on, and when he got to the University of Louisville, he really made a name for himself. By his sophomore year, the numbers were just ridiculous. 3,543 passing yards, 30 passing touchdowns, and another 1,571 rushing yards with 21 touchdowns on the ground. To put that in perspective, his rushing stats alone, better than most college running backs. His combined 51 touchdowns that year, absolutely insane. That performance won him the 2016 Hellman's Trophy, making him the youngest winner at the time, at just 19 years old. What's more, Lamar racked up over 9,000 total yards and 69 passing touchdowns across his college career, showing everyone he was something special. But even after all that, NFL scouts were hesitant. They weren't sure his style, relying heavily on his legs, could transition to the pros. Teams questioned his passing mechanics, his decision-making, and whether he could thrive in an NFL system. As a result, he fell to the 32nd overall pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, where the Ravens took a gamble that many teams passed on. When Lamar arrived in Baltimore, the Ravens were a team in need of a spark. In his rookie season, he sat behind Joe Flacco, but by mid-season, it became clear that the Ravens needed a change, and they handed the reins to Lamar. In just 7 starts, Lamar led the Ravens to a 6-1 record, clinching the AFC North title. He didn't just make an impact, he electrified the league, rushing for 695 yards in those 7 games, the most by any QB in that short of a span in NFL history at the time. His ability to both run and throw kept defenses guessing, and the Ravens' offense, which had been middling at best, suddenly came alive. The team was running a completely different playbook with Lamar at the helm. In his rookie season, he posted a 5-1 record as a starter, throwing for 1,201 yards and 6 touchdowns, with an additional 695 yards rushing and 5 rushing touchdowns. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. His first playoff game was a disaster, as the Ravens lost to the Chargers, 23-17. Lamar threw for only 194 yards with a touchdown and an interception, leaving many questioning whether he was ready for the big stage. Fast forward to Lamar's second year, and the story was entirely different. Lamar Jackson didn't just improve, he took the NFL by storm. He threw for 3,127 yards, led the league with 36 touchdown passes, and had a passer rate of 113.3, the third highest in the NFL that year. Oh, and let's not forget his rushing. He broke Michael Vick's single-season rushing record for a quarterback, piling up 1,206 yards on the ground. That made him the first quarterback ever to throw for over 300 yards and rush for over 1,000 yards in the same season. The Ravens finished their regular season 14-2, and Lamar became only the second player in NFL history to win unanimous MVP honors, joining Tom Brady in that exclusive club. Let's put this in context. Lamar had more total yards that season than 16 entire NFL teams, and he was responsible for 43 touchdowns, including 7 rushing. The Ravens' offense led the league in scoring, averaging 33.2 points per game, and they scored a total of 531 points, a franchise record. But not everyone was buying into the hype. Critics argue that the Ravens' offense was heavily customized for Lamar's skill set, that it masked his flaws. His 3,127 passing yards ranked just 22nd in the league, and some wondered if his passing was good enough to sustain long-term success. While Lamar had an impressive 66.1% completion rate, skeptics pointed out that a lot of his completion came from play action, where defenses were more concerned about his running ability than his arm. Despite the MVP season, Lamar's playoff troubles persisted. After the dominant regular season, the Ravens entered the playoffs as the AFC's top seed, but were upset by the Tennessee Titans in the divisional round. In that game, Lamar threw for 365 yards and rushed for 143 yards, becoming the first player in NFL history to post 300 plus passing yards and 100 plus rushing yards in a playoff game. Impressive, right? Well, not exactly. He also had 2 interceptions and a fumble, and the Ravens' offense just couldn't get into gear when it mattered most. Lamar's playoff record is now 2 for 4, with 6 touchdowns and 6 interceptions in those games. That's 79.7 passer rate in the playoffs. Not great, especially compared to his regular season rating of 96.7. What stand out is how defenses adjust to Lamar's game in the postseason. The Titans, for example, sold out to stop the run, daring Lamar to beat them with his arm. And while he put up big numbers in terms of yards, the turnovers and lack of rhythm ultimately cost the Ravens the game. The criticism is that Lamar struggles when forced to rely solely on his passing, especially when playing from behind. Now, the big question everyone keeps asking, can Lamar pass at an elite level? His critics have been vocal from the beginning. They point to his unconventional throwing mechanics and the fact that he's never topped 3,200 passing yards in a season, a number that most elite QBs hit with ease. In a league where guys like Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, and even Josh Allen are throwing 4,000 plus yards regularly, Lamar's passing state doesn't jump off the page. Since his MVP season, his passing numbers have dipped slightly, and in 2022, he threw for 2,242 yards, 17 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions in 12 games. His career high for passing touchdowns is still 36, achieved in that MVP season. Since then, his TD to INT ratio has dropped, and his passing yards per game have ranked outside the top 15 quarterbacks in recent seasons. For comparison, Patrick Mahomes averaged over 300 passing yards per game, while Lamar's career average is just under 200. His completion percentage has hovered around 64 to 65%. Solid, but not spectacular. However, you can't look at Lamar's passing state in a vacuum. The Ravens' offense isn't built for him to throw 40 times a game like the Chiefs or the Bills' offenses are for Mahomes or Allen. The Ravens run one of the most unique systems in the NFL, relying heavily on play action and run-pass options that use Lamar's legs to keep defenses off balance. This approach has led to more wins and a lot of points, but it doesn't give Lamar the same opportunities to rack up huge passing numbers. Where Lamar truly shines is his running game, and this is where he separates himself from just about every other quarterback in NFL history. His 1,206 rushing yards in 2019 shattered the previous record held by Michael Vick, and he became the first quarterback to hold back-to-back 1,000-yard rushing seasons. It's not just yardage. Lamar's elusiveness and ability to make defenders miss is next level. He's turned broken plays into big gains more times than you can count, and defenses have to account for him on every single down. This opens up the Ravens' offense in ways that are hard to quantify. Defenses have to play Lamar differently, often assigning a spy to keep tabs on him, which takes the defender out of the equation for pass coverage or run defense. This gives the Ravens a huge advantage, especially when they run play action. But here's the flip side. Lamar's reliance on running makes him more susceptible to injury. We've already seen him miss games due to lower back injuries, and as he gets older, the risk only increases. The question becomes, how long can he keep playing this way? Running quarterbacks typically have shorter careers, and teams tend to phase them into more pocket-based systems as they age. Despite all the scrutiny, there's no question that Lamar Jackson is one of the most talented and exciting players in the NFL. But he's also at a crossroads. If he can develop more consistency as a passer, particularly in high-pressure situations like the playoffs, the sky's the limit. But if he can't, the concerns about his long-term viability will only grow louder. Lamar's biggest opportunity for growth lies in his decision-making. Too often, when a play breaks down, he relies on his legs instead of going through his progressions to find an open receiver. That's worked in the regular season, but in the playoffs, when defenses tighten up and the stakes are higher, he needs to become more comfortable standing in the pocket and making the right reads. And don't forget, the Ravens have a role to play here too. They've built their entire offense around Lamar's skill set, but as the league catches up, they'll need to evolve. That could mean incorporating more traditional passing concepts or bringing in more top-tier talent at receiver to help Lamar succeed. So where does all this leave us? Lamar is undoubtedly a special talent. He's redefined what it means to be a quarterback, and he's already achieved things that most players can only dream of. But the criticisms are real. His playoff record is shaky, and his passing still leaves room for improvement. At the end of the day, Lamar Jackson's legacy is still being written. He's got the talent to be one of the all-time greats, but he also has to prove that he can evolve as the game changes around him. Whether you're a fan or a skeptic, Lamar is a player you can't ignore, and that makes him one of the most fascinating figures in the NFL today. If you like this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the biggest names in sports. And hey, let us know in the comments, what do you think? Is Lamar Jackson overrated, or is he just getting started? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.